Hello and welcome back to the YouTube channel. Welcome back to another live, people. We've got the second West Ham United Arsenal match preview of the day, people. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new. And yeah, GVO Max on all platforms to follow me. We are back with Alfie once again.
Yes, guys, back
And
again.
yeah, you're seeing him a lot. You're seeing him a lot. But if you want to see him more, the link is in his title. The link for his channel is in the title, people. We're trying to get to 300 before the end of the year. You'll obviously be there for the Melon podcast as well tomorrow at 10. And obviously on Saturday, it's the match build up and then the match reaction, of course. But before we get into any of that, we've got to preview it. We've got to preview it. And Alfie, we obviously talk every Monday on the GVO show and we round up the games, but we're getting this is one of the few times where we get closer to the game and we get to talk about it. Now that it's closer to the match itself, what's your thoughts on it?
Um, well, obviously, we're both coming into the game off the back of some decent results. Obviously, us who won our last Premier League game. You guys beating Newcastle the other night, and we beat Sporting in the Champions League as well as Nottingham Forest last Saturday. So we're both heading into this game with semi-decent form. But
Mm.
I feel like, as we both said, it would we we all know who should win the game.
Mm-hmm.
We all know who's the favourite going into the game, but at the same time, we don't know who's actually going to turn up.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like it's legit a case of you never know what West Ham's going to turn up. And with Arsenal, it's like most of the time you think that it's going to be the same Arsenal, and then there's that one odd game where it's like, okay, they might actually bottle it here, or they might actually like falter here because the teams go at you, etc. But I'm assuming you're confident going into the game.
I, I wouldn't say I'm like over the top confident, saying, "Oh, fair enough." I was joking with you on Omar's chat last night, saying I
Mm.
feel another 6-0 incoming, but I obviously don't feel like that. I don't feel like it will be anywhere near 6-0, but it may be. It should be an Arsenal win.
Yeah, it should be. It should be. But what's the injury status going into the game for you guys? Like, what's your injury status and suspension saying?
Um, Obviously Ben White's out.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be out for quite a while. I'm not too sure who else we've got in terms of injuries. Obviously, we've had apparently, obviously, Calafiori came back from injury not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
Tierney was back in the squad the other night against Sporting as well. Obviously, he didn't feature, but they made a massive deal out of him being back in the squad. Not too fussed, to be honest. I thought he should have been out of the door a couple of seasons ago, to be perfectly honest. But it is what it is.
Well, obviously, there was that Sporting game where you wiped the floor with Sporting. Does
Yeah.
that give you any more confidence going into this game as the fact that you got a bit of a momentum now with 2 games in a row?
Oh, 100%. Definitely gives us a lot of confidence, especially when you win 2 games in a row, especially after not winning for quite a while. I think it was like 3 or 4 games where we didn't pick up a win.
Mm.
And not only that, I believe this is an away game as well. So, and our away
Yeah.
form's not is not shown too well over the past few games in the Premier League. So it should be interesting to see what happens.
What's changing your away from then? Because you used to be actually better away from home than at home.
Yeah, especially towards the back end of last season, we were very, very good away from home. Most notably after the Dubai trip, we kind of started smashing teams about the place after that away from home. Going to Burnley, winning 5-0. Going to Sheffield United, winning 6-0. Obviously, won 6-0 on your patch. But this season, it just seems like that away form's disappeared. And I don't really know the explanation as to why that happened.
I'm just thinking now. I was just thinking about it now because obviously you won your first league game in about 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever it was. Like I think it was 4, and then I'm just thinking then that was at home, but
Yeah.
your last away game. I'm trying to think now. I'm gonna look it up actually
I think our
if I
last
can.
away win was actually against Spurs.
Fucking hell, that was a long time ago. That was like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking now. Obviously, okay, yeah, you lost to Inter, lost to Forest. Well, no, you beat Forest, lost to Newcastle. Yeah, the time before that was Bournemouth, and yeah, it was Tottenham. It was Tottenham, and that was on the 15th of September. So you haven't won a away game in 2 months.
But the last time Arsenal won away from home, I was 21 years old. I'm now 22.
Yeah, you're getting old, bro.
It was literally a day before my birthday.
Next time you win a title, you might be 42.
Fucking hell. I do hope that's not the case.
Big up to the Villa fan, as
Big
always,
up,
fam.
big up.
But obviously, going into this game, it's just like, honestly, it's one of them ones where it's just long. Because when I look at West Ham's record against Arsenal in general, yes, Arsenal have always been better than West Ham in the Premier League, apart from literally one season where we finished sixth. Um, we've only beaten you like 5 times in the Prem, I'm pretty sure. Like, if I remember it back, like, it was obviously the game at the last game at Highbury, first game at the Emirates. 15-16 game. Obviously, there was the game in that season as well with the whole Pardew Wenger game as well. We beat you last season. I'm pretty sure those are the only 5. If I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong.
18-19 as well. Declan Rice winner.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that game. Yeah. Declan Rice winner, so 6. So overall, it's not a great record. Like, but then again, against big 6 teams, don't have a great record in general. Obviously, I think probably our best is probably against either Tottenham or Chelsea. I think if I was going to top of my head, I think we beat Man United quite a bit at home, but I think Arsenal are probably like 4th, like maybe because we don't beat Liverpool often, we don't beat Man City often. Big up to Omar, big up to Omar, man. As
Big up
always,
Omar.
make sure to subscribe to Omar if you haven't already as well. Like when it comes to this game, bro, like when from an opposition point of view, who do you see as West Ham's main threats that compared to like the battles on the pitch for you guys?
Definitely Somerville. I feel like that'll be an interesting turn off the books if you have Somerville up against Timber down that left-hand side. I feel like that'll be a very interesting battle throughout the game. Bowen always consistently plays well for you guys. I don't think I've actually seen him put a foot wrong this season. And even like you said after the Newcastle game the other night, you said as long as your team's allowed to play with a bit of freedom, you could be as dangerous as you can imagine. And obviously, players like Somerville, Bowen, Paquetá, those players can cause problems for us. Carlos Soler, if he's played in his natural position, I'd be interested to see how our attack manages to deal with the likes of Kilman and Todibo. Obviously, we don't know who's starting at the back for West Ham until the actual game, but it'll be a very very interesting game.
Obviously, for the people that don't know already, when it comes to your opinion on Arsenal, the expectations this season, and the title race, and Arteta overall, like what it was your expectation before the season, and how far have they fallen below or above that since then?
Well, I started at the start of the season. I predicted us to win the league. I felt like I was right in making that prediction at the start of the season because it felt like it was going to be a sense of third time lucky. But obviously, these first few months of the season, they've been a bit shaky. We've not really managed to find that consistency that we've been looking for. And they've fallen from, my predictions have fallen from winning the league to getting top 4 on a trophy.
Mm. And why is that? Do you think?
I just don't think at this moment in time, I don't think we've got the squad depth to actually take on the likes of Liverpool, especially at the moment, flying. Won again yesterday. What an interesting stream that was.
Mm.
Um, but I just don't think we've got the depth to deal with teams like that. I mean, even though Liverpool haven't strengthened this season, they've still looked incredible. You said it yourself that they haven't even strengthened, so they look even better.
Yeah. So does it make it even worse now that if Arne Slot is in the title race in his first season, does it make it worse for Arteta? Does it look even worse for him?
It definitely looks a lot worse on Mikel Arteta, considering this Arne Slot's only just turned up in the Premier League and he's already looking like he's bossing the show. And Arteta's been here since the start of like halfway through the 2019-20 season, and his best finish is second. Doesn't really show much progress. Obviously, we have made progress, but it's not been the exact same progress that Slot's managed to make at Liverpool.
Shout out to Flawless for the raid, by the way. Thank you for the raid, as always, Flawless. Big up to Sarcasm City TV, as always, people. If you're not subscribed already, make sure to subscribe. We're trying to hit 1K as soon as possible. And Alfie's link is in the title, people. So you can click on it and it'll be in the same tab. And make sure to like the video as well, people. Like, so obviously, when it comes to Arteta, do you think this is his ceiling then, just getting you to a title charge rather than winning the league and getting over the line, as Arsenal typically haven't done over the years?
It does seem that way at this moment in time, but you never know how things can change. You never know. By the end of the season, he could have proved me wrong, but that's up to him. At the end of the day, that's his job. Um, he's meant to turn. He's meant to prove the doubters wrong, and it's up to him to do that.
Do you think he will?
I'd like to think so, but like I said, it's down to him. It's down to him to get his act together, get a right system, get a right style of play, and get a right starting 11, a solid starting 11, which it looks like he seems to have found at the moment. And we'll just see what he does for the remainder of the season.
What do you think has changed then since, like, obviously the first season in the title race was a couple of seasons ago where you guys were blitzing teams and it was almost like a case of, okay, if Arsenal keep going here, they're in the title race and stuff like that as well. Then people start taking you seriously around towards the end of the calendar year and you was fully in the title race. The second year, you guys started off a bit poorly and then there was that Dubai trip and you guys kept winning and you only lost to Aston Villa, and City was just that consistent as well in the back end of the season that they just edged you over. Pause. And then for the third season, which is this season, you guys don't even seem like you're even in the race despite City faltering. It's Liverpool capitalizing on them and you're not. What has changed over the seasons?
I definitely think the change in our style of play is a massive factor into why we're seeing the performances that we're seeing. Because if you remember our first season where we challenged for the league, we were fast on the counter attack, great in transition, making brilliant passes, putting the ball through to the right players, making the right moves, and like you said, blitzing teams. But then obviously we looked at the situation, realised we were conceding too many goals, realised we needed to shore up the defence. We did that, but along the way, it also seems like we kind of forgot that killing streak that we needed, and we focused a lot more on the defence. Set piece is obviously a major factor for this Arsenal team, but I have to say, the style of play changing has been a massive contributing factor to us faltering so far this season.
Obviously, you got us next, Man United at home. Is it a case of just going on a streak now after winning your first your first Premier League game since the international break, the Champions League game as well? You've obviously got more Champions League games to come. You've got Palace in the Carabao Cup as well. What are you expecting from Arsenal until the end of the year to even salvage any sort of title hopes that you may have?
Well, obviously we're getting to that. We're in that time now. It's the December month. There's loads of fixtures in the December month, which is I feel like this month is vitally important to Arsenal having any chance of even getting into the conversation for the title, because this is the month where all the most points are won. The most points are up for grabs. Go out there and take them. I mean, we both said that I don't think Arteta expected to be in the Carabao Cup this long, but he's there. It's time to take it seriously.
I'm just going to put up the fixtures now, actually.
One trophy in 5-6 years doesn't look good, does it?
No, not at all. Like, for a club like Arsenal, they should be winning more.
Exactly.
And people are at like, oh well, he's overachieving. Bro, you're at Arsenal. You're not at like even a club like us, for example. If he was doing a job like this for a caliber of a club like us, for example, I think people should be giving him a lot of praise for it. Like if he was at Brighton doing this, is a bit more of an achievement. When you're at Arsenal, a club that has been desperate to win titles already, literally called out Arsene Wenger for the exact same thing. Well done for getting them back to being in the chance of the Promised Land, but can you capitalize upon that? Like that's the main thing for me when I look at it from an outside point of view. Like your fixtures now, as I said, you got us away, Man United at home, Fulham away, Monaco, Everton at home, Palace at home in the Carabao Cup, and then Palace away. Is that a decent run of fixtures, you'd say?
It should be a decent run of fixtures. I feel like the main one out of those is definitely the Manchester United game. Obviously, that will be Ruben Amorim's big test, first big test. So It'll be exciting. It'll be interesting to see how he matches up against us. But it is a very, very. It looks quite favourable on our part. I mean,
Hmm.
you've got the likes of Everton in there, Palace who've been struggling. Fulham are on under good form. It'll be interesting to see how Smith Rowe and Leno perform against us in that game. So, but it does look favourable.
Well, this is the thing when it comes to Arsenal as well. Like, obviously, you guys manage to falter when it gets closer to the season rather than at the start of the season. But obviously, despite the fact that you guys have faltered right now for your standards, who's been the players that have stood out to you this season that have really shone for Arsenal this season so far, despite the under expectations?
Saka, I think he's an
Mhm.
obvious one. But then again, you you come to expect it from him now.
Mhm.
Usually, usually turns up in the big games. Always manage or create something out of nothing. Yes, we've missed Odegaard, and it's felt like he's put a lot of he's been had a lot of pressure put on Saka since. But we've got both of them back, both of them fit. So I feel like if we're going to have any chance of getting back in the conversation, those two will probably be the most integral part of that system.
How good of a partnership is Saliba and Gabriel, and how crucial is it for you guys to, in terms of like where you are right now, to keep winning leagues or keep competing for leagues or keep competing for trophies, for you to keep a player like Saliba at the club, who everyone's always said he's destined for Real Madrid, and that's how good he is. What's your thoughts on how good them two are, especially how crucial they are towards how you play?
I mean, it's all well and good giving these players pay rises and giving them contract extensions, but if you're not winning trophies, what's going to make them want to sign on the dotted line? Simple as
Mm,
that.
mhm,
Trophies are what keep a player at a club.
mm.
So if you want to be serious about keeping these two for many years to come, we need to we need to get some silverware in the cabinet.
That's true. That's true. Big up to Aaron as always. Yes, yes, yes. Mike's my G. Let's please get a jammy point from these goons. No, not because they're in a title race, but because it just might be hilarious to see them end up in the top 4 one. No, I hear you, bro. I would love West Ham to just nick something. I wouldn't take a draw because I don't take a draw against anyone, and I don't celebrate draws unless it's a mad comeback like the Tottenham one a few years ago. However,
Oh man,
when it comes
what a
to
game!
this game as well, like I need to be shameless for one day. Like people already know I'm on a shameless FC, but I ain't really shameless. I just need to be shameless for one day.
I feel
One
like
day.
I'm more shameless than you.
You're way more shameless than me. Way more shameless than me. I've got no spirit when it comes to West Ham. I don't give it before the game. I'm like, if the result happens, then you'll hear me be unbearable. The only time I've been unbearable all season when we beat Palace because I don't like Palace, and that's it. And we're not even rivals like that. Didn't have the chance to give it to Tottenham and Chelsea fans because we were terrible in both those games. And usually West Ham pop up on at least one big London derby, but this ain't even a big clash like that. It's more of a case of the fact that because Declan Rice is involved and stuff like that, it makes it a little bit more spicier. But not really. It's not really a game that even fan base is like, oh my god, it's West Ham Arsenal and stuff like that. But speaking of Declan Rice, what have you made of him this season and since he's been at Arsenal and the criticisms and the praise that he gets? Do you think he's being used right? Do you think he's lived up to the expectation? Do you think the price tag thing also clouds over what he is? Like, what do you think of him overall?
Well, I definitely think this season, as far as the start has gone, it's not been exactly the same as it was last season. I felt like he made a
Hmm.
blistering start to his time at Arsenal, like literally from the off. By the time we
Hmm.
got to match day four, he'd already scored a goal. That massive goal against Manchester United last season. But certainly this season, I haven't seen exactly the same start from Declan Rice. Obviously, got that red card against Brighton, which we won't talk about because it's still a bit sore for me. Every red card is it pisses me off. But um, I don't know. I don't know whether he's necessarily being used right or whether he's not being used right. I feel like with a player like Declan Rice, you can see he's got massive defensive ability, but he loves to get forward at the same time. So it's hard to hard to put him in the right position and tell him what to do because he just loves to get forward and get back at the same time. But
Do you think he's good at getting forward?
100%, 100%, you can see it in him. He just wants to push the ball up the pitch, look for
Hmm.
a passing option, or maybe even take a shot off himself. He's got it in him.
Do you think he passes too sideways?
On occasions, he can do.
Mm.
It would be nice to see him just stick like a 20-yard ping over behind the defensive line. Have either Trossard or Saka running in behind.
Is that almost what your midfield's missing?
Yeah. You look at many of the big teams. Obviously, the likes of Manchester City. You look at Kevin De Bruyne, massive big up. You look at Kevin De Bruyne, massive link up play when it comes to him. When it comes to Liverpool, not necessarily in terms of the midfield, but Trent creates a lot of link up play. So you're definitely missing that player who can either play a ball across on the floor in behind or just knock it over the defensive line. I feel like that is one player that we could use, and if played right and if given the right training plan, maybe Rice could be that player.
Who's the key player that West Ham need to watch out for? Like, obviously, everyone you would usually watch Arsenal anyway, but who's like the key player? Like, even if it's a player that maybe people don't really look at too much.
Calafiori.
You reckon, yeah?
I feel like he's massive going down that left hand side, of course. But he's definitely he likes to get forward, despite the fact he's naturally a centre back. Obviously, across the back four, every single player is naturally a centre back. But we're Arsenal when we like to do things different in North London. But you can see that he wants to get forward. He likes getting forward. I mean, that goal against Man City alone proves how much he wants to get forward and create. He wants to be in amongst it. He wants to be in the thick of it, so to speak.
Calafiori is obviously down the left-hand side as well. Now, let's speak about your left wingers. Trossard, Sterling, Martinelli. Out of all the options there, obviously Sterling's barely played. It looks like Jesus is sometimes in favour over him on the wing. Obviously, Martinelli has come under a lot of criticism. Trossard seems to shine more from the bench. What is your left side lacking, and what is the problems with Martinelli, Trossard, and Sterling, with mainly Martinelli and Trossard?
I feel like down that left-hand side, we're missing a player that can kind of take the game by the scruff of the neck. Obviously, we've got that on the right-hand side in terms of Saka, but on that left-hand side, it just seems a bit null and void down that side. I mean, Martinelli's not as creative as he used to be. Trossard, as you said, only usually shines from the bench. He doesn't really make an impact when he starts. And Sterling's done fuck all since he's been at Arsenal. So it's definitely a struggle in terms of naturally attacking players down that left hand side. But I guess it is what it is.
But what has happened to Martinelli since he's fallen off? What do you think it is?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you. It could be a matter of anything. I don't know whether to call it lack of confidence. I don't know whether to call it he's just out of form. But then again, he's been out of form for ages now. You'd feel like he'd turn up at some point. But it's just not the same Martinelli we're seeing like 2 years ago.
Yeah, but it's a case of when Martinelli, he was working so. Is it the fact that he's not got Xhaka? Is it a case of like that partnership was so crucial?
Yeah,
you guys haven't found a replacement down that left hand side, because whenever I speak to Arsenal fans, Martinelli has fallen off, but nobody knows why. Nobody knows why he's fallen off, really. Like, nobody knows what's really different about his performances from a couple of years ago when you were first like blitzing teams compared to now. So with Trossard, is he good enough to start for Arsenal week in, week out to win the league?
It doesn't really seem like it. Like we've both said, he only seems to shine from the bench, but then he'll get pissed off because he's not starting. And then when we do start him, he doesn't perform. So it's like, what do we do? How do we get the best out of Trossard?
Like, obviously, before the international break, we were discussing, it was like, you guys are out of the title race. And you were very vocal on that. Has that changed since City have carried on their form?
I still feel like at this moment in time, Liverpool are going to kind of walk away with it. Obviously, we'll find out after this weekend. I feel like this weekend, Liverpool City is going to be the crunch game. But we've just not taken it by the scruff of the neck, seeing that City have been performing so poorly. You'd think for a team that's wanting to compete for the league title would take advantage of that situation.
Why haven't you? What does it come down to?
Maybe everyone else is right. Maybe we are bottle jobs.
But why though? Like, Joe, it is like, why have you not capitalized on what City have done? Because we've not seen City like this. This isn't normal. Like City do
No.
falter at this part of the season, but not like this. They don't go winless in six. That's not. We've never seen that under Pep. We've never seen that. So out of all the teams, why is it the manager that's just come in for Liverpool rather than the guy who's been managing Arsenal for a couple of years?
I don't know what it is. It don't get me wrong, it gets to me because you sat there, you're wanting your team to compete, and then when you
Mm-hmm.
see a rival cocking it up massively when they don't usually do this bad, you're like, that's a prime opportunity to take advantage, and we're not doing it. It really does grind your gears as an Arsenal fan,
Mm-hmm.
and it feels like it's always going to be the case of always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
I hear you. I do hear you. Big up to 18 people that hit it. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure to like the video. Try and get to 15 likes. So make sure to subscribe because we're trying to hit 1,000 as soon as possible, people. And Alfie's link is in the title. So if you're not subscribed to him, subscribe to him as well. I've got to talk about a key player. Well, a key player by Arteta's standards. Kai Havertz.
Oh,
Bro, last season when we were talking, it was a case of this guy has been unlocked as a striker. But we've seen now that he's gone back to Kai Havertz mode. What have you made of Kai Havertz this season?
At this moment in time, it feels like Chelsea fans are proving us right.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got Chelsea fans saying, "We told you this. I told you so. Kai Havertz is going to do this." And when they were saying that, it was we were all buzzing over Kai Havertz scoring consistently last season. We were all singing in the stands. 60 million down the drain. Kai Havertz scores a game. We were all singing it as Arsenal fans. But he's just gone back to his normal mediocre mode.
Yeah, this is kind of the thing with Havertz. I was kind of agreeing with what Chelsea fans were saying at the time, and I still do because whenever I used to watch Kai Havertz for Chelsea, it was a case of he would turn up when he wants to. Like
Mm.
he would turn up in a Champions League game, then go blank in a Premier League game because it's not a big occasion for him, so you can't be asked. And with him, people never pinned down his position. Cool, he was a 10 in Germany and stuff, but this guy has never naturally been creative, so I don't understand why he was a 10 in the first place. This guy was originally signed for your midfield. That didn't work. Then he got put up front. Like he can clearly jump, he can clearly move quite well, but in terms of actual finishing, unless the goal was right in front of him, this guy ain't a finisher like that. It's not like he's some guy who can finish from all angles as a striker. He's not a natural striker. He's not even doesn't look like a number 10. I've seen him play on. I saw him play on the wing under Lampard at times. This guy wasn't a winger for sure. Definitely not a winger. Definitely not a midfielder either. I never understood the hype, and I don't understand why Arsenal signed him. Wasn't it like 70 million?
Yeah,
70
60.
million for Havertz.
I think it might have been 65.
Fucking hell, that's still mad for Havertz. I can't believe like a front three of Anthony, Havertz, and Mudryk cost like 200 million, which is crazy in itself. But there you go. That is the bad spending of fucking English clubs over the years. But do you guys think you will sign someone in January, like anyone in January? Because you guys don't really spend in January.
Yeah, we don't usually spend in January. It's pigs are going to have to fly if we're going to spend something this January. Obviously, I said on the watch along last night of Liverpool Real Madrid, I said
Mm.
that Brighton were looking to loan out Evan Ferguson, and I said Arteta get it done, and I got laughed at.
But that's the thing, Evan Ferguson to solve your problems. A guy who doesn't start for Brighton.
We just need a fucking striker, a striker that can finish, a striker that's clinical. We've been
Mm.
crying out for one for years.
Mudryk is good, bro. Scored a beauty tonight. Mudryk is Conference League level. There's a reason why he plays in the Conference League rather than the Premier League. Mudryk is half the time he's 1v1ing himself when he's on the ball. That's how I look at Mudryk half the time. The trim doesn't help either. But obviously going into like the Premier League in itself, you guys are not in it. according to you, according to the title race, competing for that? Is it a case of now? You mentioned about winning a trophy earlier. Does Arteta have to go then if he doesn't win a trophy? I know we know he won't go because your owners only care about top four. That's why he signs a new contract every year. But should he go if you guys don't win the league?
He should, because you look at it and you look at the statistics. 5-6 years, one trophy. Don't count the community shields. It's not good for a manager that's meant to be top class. And obviously, we both said Arsenal are not a team that are meant to be fighting for top four. We've seen the creme de la creme at domestic level. We should be aiming for that at a minimum, and then pushing for continental success. But we haven't been doing it. So we need to get a banker in the cabinet to kind of cement, get the players to understand what it's like to win a trophy, and then we can kick on from there. And then as soon as you get that one trophy, you get a taste for it, and you want more and more and more. And that's exactly what we need. If we don't get that, then we might have to start looking elsewhere for a manager who can unlock the potential of this team.
Hypothetically, if he does go, who would you like?
Who do you go and get? I mean, there's a lot of managers that are tied down to massive contracts. I don't really. I feel like if you're going to get someone big, you're going to need a massive amount of pull, like consistently competing in the league title, consistently competing in the Champions League. You need a manager like that sort of form to attract a big name manager. So it's hard to tell who I'd like to see come in if Arteta was to go.
That's fair. That's fair. Obviously, overall, when it comes to West Ham, for anyone that wants any West Ham news, Fulkirk apparently is back in 2 to 3 games, but we've kind of heard that for the last 2 months. Obviously, Tadibo is a doubt, and so is Emerson. So we'll see if they start. If they don't, we're fucked anyway. But listen, if Mavropanos starts at home against Arsenal, God forbid, man. God forbid.
Could have still banned.
Yeah, one more game. Then,
thank God for that, because he'd cause a ruckus.
Yeah, but then again, he'd probably play off the left, so it doesn't really fucking matter. To be honest with you, Chris Kudus isn't a left winger; he needs to play in the middle or on the right. Don't know, but that's Lopetegui for you. That is Julian Lopetegui for you. Like, this guy is just as bad when it comes to playing players out of position and bad tactics and stuff like that. I watched that, like, when you watch the Newcastle game, that high line, that when Newcastle kept targeting the ball over the top, that is what I'm afraid of. That is, and it's not even just a high line for the sake of playing a high line. It's the high line without putting any pressure on the ball. When Arsenal are on the ball and they're just passing it between Saliba and Gabriel, we're not going to put any pressure on. Then the ball goes into Erdegaard and we've got that high line. Then what do we do? Because the Erdegaard's going to put the ball through to Saka, and then it might get long for us. We're going to have to live off that risk. We're going to have to basically be like Fabianski. You're going to have to save us here, because this manager is a fucking terrorist. But when you look at this game in general, I don't fucking know what happens, because I don't know what West Ham's going to turn up. I don't know what West Ham's going to turn up. I don't know whether it's going to be the West Ham against Newcastle. I don't know whether it's going to be the West Ham against Tottenham. This is my problem, because we play like a different team week in, week out. Week in, week out. That is how we play. Even play on the floor for a bit, try and play through the lines, and all of a sudden, the ball's in the air for 90 minutes of the game in the next fixture. We don't have an identity under this manager. Nobody knows what the style of play is. On the stream with Abs earlier, we're literally talking about it. No one knows what Lopetegui's style of play is. Nobody has a fucking clue.
How much time do you reckon he's actually given himself off of the back of that Newcastle win?
I think the only way for him to get sacked now is if he loses against Arsenal, Leicester, and Wolves, which I'm pretty sure our next 3 games coming up. Like, because if he loses against Arsenal, he's gonna keep his job, because they'll be like, it's Arsenal.
Yeah.
So then the loss to Leicester might put a bit more pressure under him, and then it might come down to the Wolves game. But even if, let's say, we lost to Arsenal and Leicester, for example, we'll beat Wolves, because that's what we do. Like, it's always when the manager
yourself on Twitter.
Pressure. Yeah,
they turn into prime Barca.
Exactly. So I'm looking at the fixtures now, West Ham's fixtures. Hold on, let me just share this quick. Let me just get into Fuego's comments as well. Again, is playing well supposedly. Can we get 30 to 40 million for him? If he's driving his price up, I reckon we can get 25 max still, because the PR ain't as good in La Liga than it is the Prem. But if we look at West Ham's fixtures here, West Ham, Arsenal, then it's Leicester, Wolves, Bournemouth, Brighton, Southampton. The thing is, we are very, because Ruud van Nistelrooy has just gone to Leicester, so we're facing a new manager bounce for the first home game that Leicester have. They play someone away from home. I forgot who it is this weekend, but I know it's Brentford. They face Brentford away, and so we're their first home game. And then we've got Wolves against Gary O'Neill. Gary O'Neill facing us, his former club. Max Kilman played against his former club, and Lopetegui, if he manages to survive against going up against Wolves, then it'll be him against his former club as well.
How many points are you expecting out of your next three? Like, if in a hypothetical situation, how many points do you think you can pick up?
Maximum 4. We might be lucky against either Leicester or Wolves, and then get a draw in one of them. We might be, but realistically, I think 0. No, I think 1. Sorry, I think we'll draw with Wolves, and I think we'll lose to Arsenal and Leicester, just because of the new manager bounce, and it's Arsenal. Big up to Deck as well, who's a Wolves fan. Wolves 5, West Ham 0. I love it. I love to get him sacked for you. I said, no, you'll beat us. No, we won't beat you. We won't beat you. I can see Cunha masterclass straight on Monday Night Football again. But Bournemouth away after that as well. We struggle against Bournemouth typically. We struggle against Brighton typically. Southampton are shit, but we'll make them look really, really good. But real talk, West Ham, won. Yeah, I think 1-1 in that game. So I think we'll just get 1 point. And that's the thing, like, that's not good enough for me. I demand 9. The reason why I demand 9 points is because I don't accept draw against anyone. I don't care who it is. I don't accept a draw. And also, you've already drawn with the Fulhams and the Brentfords and stuff like that. You've already lost to Tottenham and Chelsea. Are you going to beat the teams you don't expect to win or the teams you expect to win? Pick and choose. Pick some points against somewhere, because 1 win against Newcastle was great. But you caught a team on a bad day, that's good. But can you carry it on? Can you win 2 games in a row? And for me, a draw is only going to keep this manager here longer. A win is only going to keep this manager here longer. For me, it's just gonna take a while for this manager to eventually get sacked. It feels like we're gonna lose so many games, but then we have that one game where we just keep ourselves afloat, just about.
Would you say it's a case of whenever you win or draw a game, it's just papering over cracks?
Yeah, legit. It's just papering over cracks. It's just delaying the inevitable. Because whenever you're going through this with like a manager and your club is going through the shits and you really want the manager out, sometimes you think maybe short-term pain for long-term gain. Rip the band-aid off now. Like, legit, just take the loss now. The manager gets sacked, then you can hope for something better. It's just a case of now. Also, even if we sack this manager, we're probably
Who
going
do
to
you
hire
go out and get?
We're going to hire someone shit. We could, if we were ambitious, we go and just pay someone's compensation for someone. But getting an Edin Terzic doesn't solve anything.
I mean, Ten Hag's out of the job, so.
Oh, fuck off. Get the fuck out of here. Big up to Godfrey. I'm predicting a 4-0 Arsenal win. I wouldn't be surprised, mate. Wouldn't be surprised, bro. Big up Godfrey. Seriously though, Alfie, would you want Man City or Liverpool to win this match upcoming as an Arsenal fan?
If it were me, I'd love to see Liverpool win it. I feel like I just don't want to see Man City go on to win 5 in a row. And I feel like if they do get a result against Liverpool, that's the only way that they can actually stay in the race, hypothetically. It feels like if Liverpool win the game this weekend, they kind of run away with it. It's like who can catch them. But I'd definitely like to see Liverpool win that game at the weekend, 100%.
Even though you think you're at the title race, what result benefits you more?
A City win benefits us more, 100%, because they're not in the best form at the moment as we've seen. So it feels like if they're not in the best form at the moment and they're winning against the team who are currently 5 to 8 points clear, it kind of gives us a little bit of hope to catching the teams at the top.
Shout out to Matt as well. Make sure to subscribe to Matt's channel if you haven't already, people. If City win, if City win that game, then it's kind of like not turned over everything, because City just went through the biggest rough patch that we've seen in a while. But it's almost a case of like you're kind of just forgetting it, and City will go on a run. You'd like to think if they take that confidence from winning at Anfield, but winning at Anfield is easier said than done. It's easier said than done. Will he start Dinos and Sufal, Tadibo, and Emerson out? That will probably be the back four, wouldn't it? It'll be Wan-Bissaka left back, Sufal right back, Mavropanos and Kilman at centre back, which doesn't give me any. It gives me even less hope than I already had, because Tadibo gives you that recovery pace. In fact, Tadibo's the only one that benefits from playing in that high line because he's so quick. He's so quick. Like nobody's getting past him when it comes to strength or pace. It's just a case of Dinos playing, like Mavropanos playing with Kilman. No one benefits from that. And that's not a good partnership because he makes Kilman a lot worse. Kilman has to carry him half the time. Kilman has to make up for his mistakes. So it's almost one player covering for the other, which isn't a good partnership. When it comes to Tadibo and Kilman, you're making your team at least a little bit more hard to beat. When it comes to Sufal as well, despite Martinelli being shit, Martinelli will cook Sufal. 1v1. 1v1. Sufal hasn't been good in about 3 years when it comes to being 1v1 defending. And even if it's Trossard, we saw what happened last year. I know Trossard was playing in a full side last year against us, but Trossard cooked the living shit out of us last season. And he could do that to Sufal, even though he's not the most explosive 1v1 either.
It feels like as long as you play Sufal on that right hand side instead of Aaron Wan-Bissaka, it feels like it will make it look as if Martinelli's back to his best.
Yeah, he'll make Martinelli
Whereas
look really good.
if he's against Wan-Bissaka, Martinelli's going to struggle big time.
Oh yeah, if put it this way, if Emerson and Tadibo fit and Wan-Bissaka starts on the right against Martinelli should learn Chinese immediately. Learn Chinese immediately because you are not getting past Wan-Bissaka.
More like learn Arabic.
Yeah, either way. Wan-Bissaka, no one's got past him. Like Gordon tried to get him at the start of the Newcastle game, Wan-Bissaka had him in the end. He had Joel Linton in the end. Even when he was like picking up an injury towards the end of the Man United game, he still had Garnacho, even though that's not hard. It's Garnacho. But you know what I mean. Garnacho and Martinelli at this point, pretty much the same fucking player. I hope City win for the season. Not gonna lie, games back on. Been the maddest Prem start since Keegan's Newcastle. Not gonna lie, this Prem season it's like there's so little quality, but it's so unpredictable. Just overall looking at it, it's like you don't know what's gonna happen next with all these teams. Apart from the fact that you know that Southampton's getting relegated, that's the only thing that you know. Everything else, you don't know. Like especially with Liverpool running away with it, we don't see this often. Apart from the 1920 season, that was the one time they did win it. But looking back with Arsenal, how are Arsenal not there? How are Arsenal not there? I don't understand it. Like, what would be your lineup for this game? Like, what would be your preferred lineup? And then say what you think would happen.
I'd probably say, ideally, I'd go with the same team that started in Sporting the other night.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's the team at the moment that's really getting the best out of Arsenal at the moment. I mean, it was a similar team on Saturday against Nottingham Forest. Obviously, we didn't play Havertz or Rice that game, and they came in the other night. But it definitely feels like the team we saw against Sporting is going to be the team going forward. I don't really see Marino coming in and making a change, but if it were me, I'd go with the team that started against Sporting. Whether Arteta will do that, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, fair enough. I imagine you go with the same team. Arteta doesn't make too many changes unless he really thinks he can beat the team with any team that he puts out. Like Southampton was the game where he played Sterling from the start. Like he isn't going to do that for this game, I don't think. Even though Sterling has a very good record against us, it's actually been a while since he scored against us. I don't think he's actually scored against us since he left City.
I feel like another thing. If at the moment most Arsenal fans are saying, "Oh, Mikel Arteta should be in the conversation of being one of the top managers in the world right now," but then there's other people saying that no, he's nowhere near. And if you look at it, if you look at all the great managers that have been in the Premier Leagues, what have they all done to get them noticed? They've taken risks.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if Arteta wants to be in that conversation, he needs to make more risks. Like, for instance, playing Nwaneri more. It feels like most of the teams nowadays are trusting in a lot of their younger players to get them out of sticky situations. I mean, take last season, for example. Liverpool brought on a load of kids in a League Cup final and won it.
Yeah.
That's what happens when good managers take risks.
Legit, like they were in the Carabao Cup final. They had a lot of injuries. They had a lot of games coming up, and they were coming so closer to the fact that Okay, they might not win it here, so just put a bunch of youngsters on to see if they can re-energize them. Bobby Clark came on, Trey Nonye came on. I can't remember
Jaden
who else came on.
Dans.
Yeah, Jaden Dance came on. Like,
I think Ben Doak came on at one point.
yeah, Ben Doak came on at one point. Like, all these youngsters came on because Klopp trusted his youngsters. That's what a manager does when it all comes down to it. Really, you guys
I've
have
had
got
this,
good young players, but you guys don't trust them.
I've had this conversation with my sister because we talk a lot about Arsenal. We're quite close when it comes to the whole football situation, and we've both said that Waneri needs to play more.
Hmm.
And and you can see he's got that talent in him. I mean, you look take his spell against Nottingham Forest, for example.
Hmm.
He was on for less than 10 minutes, and he made a massive impact.
Yeah, he did. Scored
That's
straight
what
away.
happens when you give young players a chance.
Mm. Deck asks here. So, Alfie, you reckon your youth academy is slacking, or does Arteta not trust them?
It definitely feels like there's a case that he doesn't seem to trust the youth academy as much as he should.
Mm.
Because, I mean, we've got a track record of bringing great players for the youth academies. Yes, some of them haven't worked out, the likes of Reece Nelson, Smith Rowe, Joe Willock. Yes, those
Hmm.
players haven't worked out, but they all came through and they all helped us at a critical time. So you need to, if you want to continue that, you should start giving the youth players a chance. And you can clearly see when they come in, they make an impact. Waneri, Lewis Skelly, they've both done something to contribute to the game.
Yeah, they
They're,
have.
they're, they're itching to get first team football. And you've got to feed them every once in a while.
And Lewis Skelly was even trusted that left back over Zinchenko at one point,
Exactly.
and he's a midfielder. That
I
says a
feel
lot.
more I feel more confident seeing Lewis Skelly at left back than I do seeing Partey at right back.
And that's a midfielder. That's another
Exactly.
midfielder. He's not even left-footed either. He just put a right-footed midfielder right on the left. So I rate,
But he's
I
shown
rate
he
that.
can do it.
Yeah, I rate that in a sense. But it feels like Arteta only does it when he has to do it.
It feels like he only does it when he has to do it. For example, in a cup game, or he does it when there's like 10 minutes to go and the game's already wrapped up, like he did at the weekend against Forest. He brought on
Mm.
Waneri with 10 minutes to go when we were already 2-0 up.
There you go.
You're
There you
giving
go.
you're giving them pity minutes. How do you expect them to improve if you're giving them 5 or 10 minutes at a time? Like I just said, you need to feed them once in a while. You got to give them a reason to work for their paycheck.
Hmm. Just it's true, it's true. Big up to Liverpool's 12 man. Good luck to you guys against us. These gooners are talking bad trash about your club and chances. I hope you set them straight. Listen, I hope so as well. But most of the time when people talk shit about West Ham before the game, they usually win. Like look at what happened with Tosin around the bio when he was like time to pop some bubbles, and then Chelsea did win. Like we never get our get back. We never get our get back when it comes to people talking shit about our club. Usually they're right half the time, but it's not because they watch West Ham. It's because of the arrogance of who they support and stuff like that. Maybe this is Big Six clubs, or it's just some weird Palace fan that thinks that their club is actually, any importance of anything. When Crystal Palace is probably one of the least important clubs ever. But that is football for you. That's football for you. Like going from a West Ham perspective, I would love it if we just kept the same team as we did against Newcastle. So that would be Fabianski in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Tadibo, Kilman, Emerson, midfield being Soler, Paquetá, Suchek, Bowen, Somerville, Antonio. However, this is Lopetegui. He's more of a tinker man than he is to keep the same team. When he does keep the same team, it's usually a team that needs to be changed. We saw that right at the start of the season against Crystal Palace when that whole team stunk it out against Everton, against Aston Villa. I think he'll put probably a Rodriguez or an Alvarez in for a Soler or Somerville. And it might be a case of either he does it for Soler and he puts Rodriguez and Alvarez in alongside Paquetá and Suchek, and then we see the same Paquetá that we've seen throughout the whole season where he's just roaming around in the 10, not playing deeper, not getting on the ball enough. Or he does it for Somerville and puts Soler on the left like he did against Man United, which didn't work. If he does either of those lineups, we get smashed. Now, put it this way, even in the lineup I want, I think we lose anyway. I think we lose regardless because Lopetegui's in charge of the match. I don't, despite Arteta's faults, Arteta's a way better coach than Lopetegui. He's even got a better trim. You look at the state of Lopetegui. But just regardless of how Lopetegui does, he's the one that's the manager. He is the one that's the manager. You are the man that's like I needed to get rid of pressure from myself to win against Newcastle by setting out that specific team. So what do? The common sense thing would be that unless you guys have an injury to a player, you keep the same team. If everyone is fully fit and everyone can start that match, everyone can play 90 minutes, you keep the same exact team that won you that game. Don't tinker with it. You are not Pep.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. How many times has that phrase been used in football?
Yep. And usually, I don't know why, but managers like to fix broken, like non-broke things. Like, and this is the thing: Soler, Souček, and Paquetá all showed that they could all play together, despite none of them being a natural six, because they all got on the ball, they all did their thing, they all did their jobs really well. Souček did very well defensively, so did Soler, so did Paquetá. They all had the same amount of energy as well to carry themselves. So there is no reason why they shouldn't just carry on as the same midfield three. If I see any bullshit and all the players are fit, then that kind of just proves what we're going to be. That kind of proves what we're going to be under this manager. But I think the manager's already kind of digging in his own grave. We're just kind of waiting to push him in it. So we'll see what happens on that game specifically. But last question, bro. Score prediction.
I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet if we do win the game. I'd probably say it'll either be a 2-1 or a 3-1. I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet. I feel like you might get through either through a stroke of luck or a brilliant piece of play.
Fair enough. I fucking hope so. But in terms of from me, as I've said all week, 3-0 Arsenal. I said it on my channel. I said it earlier today on the preview of apps. I think Arsenal will comfortably beat us. I just don't think it'll be as bad in terms of scoreline as last year, but it might be a similar difference in terms of quality. The only reason why we won't concede as much as last year is mainly because of the fact that we're going to have players somewhat in their right positions compared to last year. We don't have Again and Zuma at the back. We have Tadibo and Kilman. We don't have Johnson on the left wing anymore. You know, the guy who can't start for Ipswich at right back, who Moyes put on the left wing. But so there you go. There you go with that. But listen, people, we're going to end it there. Make sure to subscribe to Alfie. Link is in the title, people. We're trying to get to 300 as soon as possible. So you want to see more of Alfie, link is in the title. If you enjoy my videos as a West Ham fan, you'll enjoy his as an Arsenal fan. Alfie, what you got coming up? And where can people find you?
Match preview of Arsenal against West Ham. Obviously, my own match preview. I'll be talking a lot more about my personal opinions going into the game and how I think we should perform, how I think we should start, and obviously say my match prediction again. And where you can find me at Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all under Alfie_YT on all social platforms. So make sure you guys give me a follow on there.
And it's the same with me, people, at GVO Mikes on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok as well, people. If you guys want to follow me, trying to hit 1K as soon as possible. I'm going to be on True Good channel at 7 p.m. tomorrow. And then we've got the 10 p.m. podcast with Alfie and Melon, where it just goes fully left. It's just going to be pure. And on Saturday, we're going to have the match build-up show with Alfie. And it'll be on a match reaction as well at 10 p.m. as well, people. So keep out. It will all be on the channel. If you're not subscribed and if you are new here, please subscribe. Trying to hit 1K as soon as possible, people. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.